wa sita mwaka 2022. I hope you're doing well and you're set and ready for the tackle, and we have a special tackle today on the diaspora edition. Tuko na mgeni kutoka diaspora ya Tetu Nyeri. When this video moved around last week, you guys were impressed and you said you want to see MZEE NAFTALY on the tackle, and we brought him in. You're going to have a conversation with him shortly. Apologies, we've come in 30 minutes late. Shida kimitambo kidogo, lakini sisi yao tumefika. I request that when you join in, kama kawaida, please like. When you like, we get to know that you're watching us. That's a like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This tackle and begins right now. Lakini kama kawaida, lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu fikiri basi tunakuja kuwapa salamu zenu. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive. We thank you for this program. We thank you for this day. Even as we have this conversation, may it edify the fabric of this country. For we pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Aya, sijui kina nani wameamuka. Please, when you join in, kwa heshima ya MZEE, ukifika hapo piga like. Ukisha like, please share. Kidogo, piga MZEE support. Ukifika hapa like, ukilike tunajua kwamba unatazama. And please, after you like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. Tafadhali, ukifika pale piga like. Ukilike najua kwamba unatuona. Na ukisha like, please share. Ukishare unapa mtu mwingine nafasi ya kuweza kutazama broadcast. Tuko na MZEE WANJOHI hapa ndani ya show. Atatuambia ako na historia kalikali sana. So MZEE alifanya kazi na Mzee Kenyatta, mzee wa kwanza wa Kenya, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Alifanya kazi wakati wa Moi. Ako sasa hivi wakati wa kijana mdogo Kenyatta. Anatuambia since he came in 1960. Alisema alikuja 1967. 1967, ndio. 1967, 3rd April. Alikanyaga Nairobi kwa mara ya kwanza. Alright. So you're going looking forward to an interesting conversation this morning. When you join in, please like. When you like, we get to know that you're watching us. And after, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch broadcast. I still want to remind you that pale Optiven mambo ni shwari zaidi. Optiven gets you and gives you an opportunity to own property in the most flexible of ways. Properties ziko mingi. Kuna pale Kitengela Happy Gardens, kuna Victory Gardens. Ukienda pale Kajiado pia kuna Love Gardens. Ukienda pale Malindi, we are doing the Malindi Breeze and we are giving you at only 499,000 only. Ukifika pale Nanyuki pia tuko na the Great Oasis, 349,000 only, and you get to own your property courtesy of Optiven Limited. Optiven inspires possibilities. Optiven inspires possibilities. And they're giving you a challenge as well. Challenge Optiven Dance Challenge, where you get an opportunity to walk away with all half an acre of property. Kama unaweza sakata rumba, unaweza sakata ngoma vizuri, basi unaweza kupata shamba yako hapa neka kwa njia shwari zaidi na Optiven. Wapigie simu kwa nambari ambayo unaiona pale kwenye screen 0790300300 na uambie nimekutuma. Ukisema nimekutuma nakupa discount yako, na pia they give you an opportunity to pay for all 6 months of flexible payment arrangements, interest free. So rush to Optiven today and ensure that you can get your properties at the best prices possible and also credible. This is a company that has been in the industry for over 26 years. So I can assure you that the credibility of business there is 100%. Nakupa assurance ya asilimia 100%. Haya. Faith naona ameamuka anasema good morning Gerald, good morning to Charles Kangwana. Charles Kangwana is just 20 tackle Thursday edition. Karibu sana ndugu yangu Charles Kangwana. Kiptoke Victor, morning kiongozi Gerald Bito, good morning to Cheburgara Burono, good morning to tackle Ernest Cheriot. I'm now in an inside. Karen kama kawaida, asante sana. Thank you for coming back to Karen. Emmanuel Serem, it's been a long time Emmanuel Serem. I don't know ulikuwa umeenda wapi. So good morning, long time, good morning to you. Jesse Tabut Emmanuel, good morning Gerald. Hope you are at your best home. Asante sana, niko rada kabisa. Sema insist to reach you on your inbox. Tafadhali tuma ujumbe tuzungumze. File Kiprono watching you. Asante sana File. Jeff Maia, we are tuned in. Great stuff. Asante Samuel Ndungu watching from Ruiru Town. Good morning. Bito getting you live and clear from Lexington. Okay, hi. Acha MZEE atupe hiyo wisdom. Haya, MZEE tayari amefika hapa kwenye studio, and without much ado tutaenda kwake kidogo haraka upesi, atuambie mambo vipi pale Njeri. Kwanza atuambie story yake, ametoka wapi, where has he grown, nini ameweza kufanya Nairobi, alikanyaga mara ya kwanza lini na kuja kufanya nini, na pia what are things, I mean, he has very rich history on the history of this country and also the global history on what has been happening across the world. Atatuambia mambo ya uchumi pia kunaendaje, what is the state of the nation, and what does it think is a turnaround, especially for our economy as a country in Kenya. Juzi mafuta imefika 160 inaelekea 200. So atatuambia pia kama wananchi wanafurahia mambo pale ground, na pia what do you think would be the way about, and what is the way out of this quagmire that we are in as a country. And that's it. Good morning to you, sir. Please, naomba ukaribia microphone kidogo. Microphone yako ndio hii hapa. Naomba uikaribie. Kama unaweza songa kidogo.
Hey,
good morning.
Oh, morning, sir.
Morning. It's a pleasure to have you this morning. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Kupa nafasi ya kuweza kujiintroduce kwanza. Majina ni gani? Liana majina 3.
Thank you. I'm Naftali Wanjohi from Karagia sub-location, Vigigi location, Tetu sub-county, Yeri county. And I'm born again. Christ is my savior. I feel happy and thankful to him for have given me the chance to come to this place.
Okay. When is the last time you're alive? When is, you have to be alive. You are not going anywhere.
And thank you God for that.
You're not going anywhere.
You have given me that chance to come and hear my views.
So how old are you, sir?
I would not like to look like a person who lights the fire and
disappears.
And covers with a tape.
You run.
Let it be enjoyed by the others. And may God bless us in our discussion.
Amen. Asante sana. Nimaliza nao ngwana nao mama mka tayari mapema. Kipkwenda na plimo niko ndani hata mimi asante KJ. Good morning GB. Salimia mzee Wanjohi sana. Full of wisdom asante Komer senior. Tuko ndani Komer. Good morning Jerry. Good morning to you. Amos Kipkemoi. Morning bwana Bitok niko on. Kama kawa hapa Karen nikijibaridi noma sana chai moto bwana nangojea. Haya basi hata mimi nasubiri chai kutoka kwako. So kwa hivyo leta chai tuweze kunywa hapa na mzee. Hata sisi tunasikia baridi. Hata sisi ni watoto ya watu. Haya. So you said you come from Tetu.
I come from Tetu.
That's where you're born.
Yes, sir. 1946.
1946.
Yes, sir.
1946 you're born in Tetu.
Yes, born in Tetu.
And that's where you live right now, right? How was it like being when in 1946? How was the country looking like?
I mean, not talk very much about 1946, but I can talk a little about the declaration of emergency in Kenya.
In 1952?
1952. What type of Kenya was there? Because I started school in 1955. By then, we were in
please move forward. Just move a little bit forward towards the microphone. Yes, Caribbean microphone. Okay.
That way?
So, yes.
Yes. I started school in 1955. That is when I entered into Standard 1. And the emergency had already been declared. So we were in the villages. So we used to be taken to school by askaris. You are taken in the morning, you will come and collect you again in the evening, so that you are not stolen by the Mau on the way to school. It was a difficult time, because sometimes you don't even have anything to eat, and there is no lunch you are going to take.
Wow.
And maybe you are supposed to be there in the morning section. And in the afternoon, you have some other people coming, but you still remain in school. So that is the time, that is what I would see, that it was the most distasteful time in the history of our nation. That even people could not go and collect food stuff in the gardens without being escorted. I would really hate such a situation to come up again. God is great that from that time when emergency was declared off, we have never tasted such a situation in the history of Kenya. And Kenya should praise God for having retained the political tranquility in Kenya from 1963 up to now. We should thank God for that. And I believe that God who has been there is still there today and will help Kenyans to overcome the problem they're encountering today. They should not be worried. God is at work.
So in 1952 then, why were the Momo stealing children?
Momo?
Gwanda Forest.
Momo was a revolution. It's a guerrilla type of movement. There was no face-to-face confrontations with the British Army. It's a chicory hide, a game like that one, attack, unexpected attacks and so forth. And the settlers became so terrified that, in fact, they were not facing the Mau Mau. You could not know who is a Mau Mau member. A person like you could be a Mau Mau member. Wearing just in the way you are wearing. They could come during the night. I used to see them coming. They are given food. And then you go back. So they were very difficult to be trapped. And that's the reason why the British government found that it is not necessary to fight them, because who are you fighting? We were in Nairobi, like my father, he was associated with the Mau Mau, Well, with him, I was still a very young person who had not started school. He had a hotel here at Tirum, Nairobi. He was picked during the lunch hour, and I never saw him again until he came out of prison.
Okay.
My mother was at Majengo, so I was picked from the hotel to Majengo with the assistance of a chief from Makadara, who knew my father. And then taken there from there, we had taken back home
To Nyeri.
by train at night. No Kikuyu, Ebu, and Meru was required here in Nairobi, so that Nairobi could have peace, as I was saying. So it was a very decisive time, and he never saw that hotel again.
Okay.
And
You never saw your father's hotel again?
No. He left the hotel. In fact, after detention, he had nothing.
Wow.
So that is the situation.
How many years was he
During the
detained?
emergency.
How many years was he detained? Your father?
3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
So by the time he came out of detention, he didn't have any
Found me
property?
in school.
Na hakuwa
I've
na
been
shamba.
taken to school by my grandparents. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Looking at it that way, then how were we able to achieve independence at that point?
Achieving independence, I would take you historically, because there are some songs which were being sung at that time. One of them was during the Mau Mau movement, that Kenya is ours,
Okay.
and nobody will ever take it from us. That was in conformity with the Policha white people of 1925.
Okay.
What actually happened at that time is that the Indians and the British colonialists started a tug of war between them, because Indian community, who had come to help raise the economy of the country after colonization in 1920, they wanted to have a share in the colonial government, to have parliamentary representation. The British had taken the administration. Indians also wanted to be given a share to take part in the administration, because they had taken part in raising the economy of the country.
Okay.
So even the British colonists or administrators were
wanted
getting
to
money
remain
from
here.
the government.
Okay.
And the Indians were paying the taxpayers. Well, some of them were in the settlers. When they argued, they ended up in going to Britain.
Okay.
And they had their complaints heard. After being heard by the House of Commons and Secretary for Colonies, Colonial Secretary, as he was referred to, that now you can go back to Kenya and wait for the report. When the report was scrutinized by the House of Commons and the House of Lords, by then there was Duke of Devonshire, as well Queen today. Then he declared that Kenya is an African country and it should be developed as an African country. The African interests are paramount. Before we discuss about administration in Kenya, we must have the interests of Africans at the heart.
Okay.
So the interests of Indians, the interests of the colonialists, especially administrators and settlers, was ruled out. That was a godly-orientated declaration that saved the country from going to the hole or to a predicament South Africa has been having.
They have it.
Because South Africa got independence under the whites, the Boers. So Kenya was saved from being taken by the foreigners to have equality. They have African interests at the heart. Knowing that one, when Jomo Kenyatta went to overseas countries in 1995 for further studies, he got a clue of the declaration. And that's the reason why he was courageously struggling to have Kenya given independence. Because there at home, according to the Devonshire white people, Kenya was declared an African country. And if I can say very well, they are saying, that means the land is ours, and the country is ours. We are given by God. That is now in line with the declaration of the Devonshire white people. So it went on like that until 1946, and he came back. Then he found a cow. Kiku Central Association, which later came to be called cow. Then within a very short time, emergency was declared. Now more revolution started coming. James Gichuru surrendered the presidency of cow to Kenyatta. You see? And he started now the pace for, because he came back in around 1945. The struggle for Mau Rebellion was officially declared in 1952.
1952.
By Sir Ivory Perry, who was the governor by then. They fought for 7 years, during the time of which now Kenyatta was detained. But because he had detained a lot of people, they took over even after his detention. At the time again, like in the Desert Kimathi, Madhege Milogi, Mariama from Meru, and many others, and even women joined the forces. Until it was found useless to continue fighting the Africans because the land is theirs. Why don't we give them independence?
So the white men, they wanted a share of Kenya as administrators.
Yes, in the way Boer
share South Africa.
Took over South Africa, which took very many years to be eradicated, apartheid. And even eradication of apartheid in South Africa was necessitated by the knowledge of Nelson Mandela. Instead of using force, he used diplomacy approach.
But again, with that diplomacy, then it means the diplomatic process is what retained the boss in South Africa, right?
Pardon?
I mean, the diplomatic engagement that Mandela decided to take, is it not what gave more authority to the boss still that they still enjoy today?
No.
Okay.
Nelson Mandela declared, you know, he was in prison for that 5 years. Nelson Mandela, when in detention, declared, I am not fighting and I have never been fighting against the domination of Africans to South Africa. But I always advocate for human equality. Not the Africans to dominate the country. Not the boss to dominate the country.
But to have equality.
But there should be human equality. That's what he was fighting for. And that's the reason why, what I'm saying, a diplomatic approach. Because boss was talking in South Africa. Financial, military, and so forth. So if you use the force,
they'll fight you.
They would fight back. And it was already independent. So that one made now the war to be a bit better. Boys started feeling, oh, we are not being thrown out of our country. He just wants human equality. And after attainment of that human equality, he was given presidency for 5 years. After, since he had achieved the objective, he resigned. Yes, sir.
He told you, now, there has been an argument, general argument, that in the country we never really achieved independence. That maybe only the colonialists or the white guys, they handed over the country to black barons or to black colonialists. Is that true? Do you have the same feeling?
Thank you for that question. Sometimes we may misconstrue our thinking. We may not understand the process. And we sometimes come to a conclusion that is, I would call it like a maneuver, something maneuvered. When we attained independence in 1963 under the wise leadership of MZEE, the founder of this nation, there are 3 issues. One, eradication of poverty. Because as I told you, my father had a job, and not him alone. Eradication of poverty. 2, eradication of disease. 3, eradication of ignorance. That would have chipped this country. The country was transferred from the colonial government to Kenyans, regardless of their social status. They were the people to manage the government affairs. That is what we call independence. You have been given permission to run the affairs of your country. Now, when Kenyatta took over the country, who could have been appointed to be a DO? Who could have been appointed to be a permanent secretary? Only those people who were educated by them. And most of them were employed by the colonial government. So, When you take over, it doesn't mean that you throw away all the people who are working. With whom are you going to start? Then we created some temporary, what you can call supernumerary posts. Supernumerary posts means here you have got a white governor, DC. You have an African here in his part to prepare him, to assess his suitability for substantive appointment in that grade. You get it? They work together.
Okay.
And after this one is proved to have attained knowledge, this one is retired.
Okay.
Then you go to agriculture, then you go to everywhere, supernumerary posts. Handing over was a process.
Okay.
Now, even in presentation, we had few members. Now, this is where people mistake that it is a transfer of government from the British government to a few people.
Okay.
When they took over, it might have been unfortunate or fortunate. There was rat. Settlers were here. And there was a very high temperature, political temperature in Kenya. So some white settlers were fearing that maybe their property would be taken by Kenyatta government by force. But they had already agreed in Lancaster meetings that nobody would take the property of any settler or another person's property by force.
Okay.
So there was to be the compensation. If settlers were leaving, then if an African was able to buy that land, it was not precluded by the first constitution, provided land not to use force. So that is what they did. Then those who were in power by then took the advantage of their wealth. And they could buy the whole land from the Abdiguin settlers. Even businesses here in Nairobi. An Indian is fearing to stay here because of the political temperature between Kanu and Kadu and so forth. So you sell the business to the African traders. There is no force none. Then the British government had done something. To assist the Kenya government to compensate the settlers, they had given some money to help compensate the settlers. So when you take the land, you pay 20% of the cost of the land, of the development. You are paying the development, not the soil. After paying the 10%, if it is land, to AFC, and you have got the document to show that you have already paid 10%, as the variation has done, AFC would give the check to the settler. The settler goes. Then they retain the check until you clear that balance. If it is business, the same. That's how they came to acquire the land. Nobody stole the land, but it is taking advantage of
the wealth,
of the time. Because most of the people, especially the ordinary people, they did not know about the AFC, ICDC, which was helping the people who were in the business community to buy buildings and businesses from the foreigners. But they were following the same. Those Africans who got chances, and I remember I quote some of them, even ordinary people, let us say from Murang'a, the masses came together and they could release 10% of the cost of a building. Then ICDC would give them, would give the owner of the building 100%, because those who are Murang'a people have paid 10%, the masses. Now ICDC would give the foreigner the full check and change the title of the building.
So they were not selling the soil. They were selling development.
Kenyatta could not have allowed the people to take any property by force. Take the process of buying. If you want to buy, go to ICDC. If you want to buy land, go to AFC.
But then again, does that not mean that many people are disadvantaged? Because how many people had, first of all, the resources to do the purchase, and secondly, the exposure, the information to that effect? Does that not mean that a lot of people, more people were disadvantaged than those who were advantaged? Because the advantage were very few.
Thank you very much. It is true. Some people did not know that one was the process. So those who are knowledgeable at that time and took the advantage, they forgot, and this is where I would like us to base our history. The eradication of poverty cannot be done by a few.
Okay.
It can only be done by majority of people.
By the masses.
Masses.
Okay.
Let them be empowered. If when we took the land, we found that our people were very poor. Why couldn't the government take and demarcate those lands
And give it back to the people.
and give it to the people on loan basis?
Because they have been
You can
displaced.
be given 10 acres.
Yes.
And then we are told that if for each acre,
This is what
you
you're
will
paying.
pay 1,000.
Okay.
Because you are very cheap by then.
Yeah.
Then you go there, you farm, you keep animals, then you know you have got a loan of 10,000 maybe shillings to pay to the government. After repaying, you get the title deed of the place.
Yes.
This one was overlooked. I'm very sorry to say, those who took over immediately after independence were selfish people. They became selfish. They forgot the people who struggled for independence. They forgot the people who lost land during the time of emergency, during the time of the Mau Mau rebellion. Because some of them, after Mau Mau rebellion was over, they found that their lands had been taken by those who were loyal to the colonial government at their home. So they were taken to be squatters. And some of them remained that way. So they forgot the implementation of eradication of poverty process.
You cannot eradicate poverty without property.
No, you can't. You can't. First of all, to think is our people economically viable? Are they really fit to handle their own domestic affairs? Then you are left scattered. What they actually did later, without doing the MZEE or ICDC, was to come together in form of a society. Using coffee money, because I remember those who were using coffee money. After payment, somebody goes and pays some money to a particular committee. That is how they came to buy land in Rift Valley, in form of society. And some of them, even today, have never tasted those lands. Why? Because again, the process of getting the title and doing other things is too long and expensive. And we are dealing with road assets at home. The government could have assisted those societies to acquire land and have it demarcated. And I would see that what lacked is patriotism.
In those who took over
They
the
were
country.
not patriotic. Kenya did not become patriotic to their nation after independence as they were before independence.
Okay.
Those went to the forest to fight. They left their families. They left their jobs. They went to the forest to fight for independence because of patriotism.
Okay.
They were calling it oath-taking, whatever it was. But that is patriotism. Okay. When we got independence, the vocabulary patriotism disappeared to the Kenyans even today.
Okay.
Even today.
We lost it.
Very few people are patriotic. They don't value their nation.
Okay.
They value their desires. And since you will never be satisfied with your desires. When you get this, you want more, you want more. That is what is ruining our nation.
Okay.
Degree of patriotism to your nation. Degree of patriotism to your own family. If your family sleeps hungry, you are not patriotic. If you are patriotic, you could have gone somewhere else, even to a shopkeeper to give you a packet of uga. You can bring to the children, then you can go and look for money anywhere else. But when you don't care, whether you eat or not, you are not patriotic to your family. But you expect your family members to be patriotic to you when they grow up.
It's
That
not
can't
possible.
work.
It cannot work.
Patriotism. Selfishness. It's like when you are selfish, it is like digging a grave to bury your nation.
Wow.
I remember there was somebody called John F. Kennedy, the president of America. One time he said, Americans, do all that you can to America. Because what you will do will shape the future of our country. But America cannot do anything else apart from giving you a grave. That is John Kennedy. America will only give you a grave. But what you do will make shape the country of America, even in future days. But be patriotic to your nation.
Okay.
And do the best you can. Can we have such a president? Can we have such a nation? We have patriotism first, me first, others second. But you are told others first, me second.
Very few people would accept that, right?
Very few people. Me first, others second. Let me get the land, let others come later. God will take care of them. And He is taking care of them even today. We can't die of hunger. 2, ignorance. During the colonial days, when we were in primary school, you could not move from standard 1 to 2 without passing examination, certain marks. If you don't reach that grade, repeat. When you go to standard 4, you cannot go to standard 5 without passing what was called common entrance examination. So most of the African children were blocked after reaching standard 4 in primary school. Not even to reach standard 5 because you could make the selection of the school you would like to go. After independence, that one was abolished. It has gone down to standard 8. That is the eradication of ignorance. Schools were built. Public schools were built. Secondary school were Kigaja, where I entered in 1963, Form 1. It was managed by the American Peace Corps and so forth. And it was with the assistance of the Americans to get educated people to run the affairs of the country. That is the only way we can eradicate ignorance. When you make the learning very difficult, you are increasing illiteracy. When it becomes learning is very expensive.
You are reducing, you're increasing illiteracy.
You are increasing illiteracy still. When you increase illiteracy, you increase poverty. Where can he go to work? Only to be employed in farms, coffee farms, tea farms, and so forth. But when you get educated people, you go and watch the toilet being educated. You don't come out of the toilet to go to the office when your certificates will be required. When you don't have a single certificate, you remain watching the toilet until you retire. In life, you get it. So it is very important for people to be educated. Let us miss jobs. Let us have a problem of unemployment, but our people are educated. Because when a person is educated, he is disciplined. You cannot succeed academically without the discipline. No. They are intermingled. Learning and the discipline are intermingled. They are inseparables. If you lose one,
you lose everything.
You lose everything. So even when that person goes to a job, with that discipline, you will climb the ladder.
Amen.
As I would say again, there was another American president, I don't know whether it's Abraham Lincoln, who said one time that you can move from a president to a peanut farmer. And you can move from a peanut farmer to the president. In simple language, you can climb the ladder to the top. And it's true you can come down the same ladder. It doesn't matter how long you stay without a job. But one day, if you remain disciplined, God will tell
Something will
set you
happen.
an assist.
So let's go back to land a little bit. You mentioned that your father was fighting. He was among the people who were fighting for independence.
He was not fighting, but he was helping the Maumos in feeding them. They were still in town. They were coming to feed them.
So in short, he was part of the process of liberating the country in another way. That is, in helping for the fighting, physical fighting of the nation. These are people who were on the trenches, the people in the bush and all that. But the people who took over the nation are probably the people who spend a lot of time, maybe outside the country, scheming and having conversations with these people. Now, you come from a family of Mau, right? When your people came out of the forest or came out from detention that they've been taken by the colonialists, do you think you found justice?
I don't actually see it because there is justice and the implementation of that justice. There can be justice, but there is no implementation. And the implementation of any policy depends on the support from the top. Those who are in leadership positions, they must have the country at heart. When you have the country at heart, you look at somebody who is down there to the grassroots, who doesn't know anything. Do you really think about him? Or when you eat and sleep and have a very big escort, you're already satisfied, yes. You become self-contained, like a self-contained house. Your toilet, your bathroom, your swimming pool, they are all in your house. Why then do you need to look out, to go outside? To do what? Eh? You have everything in the house. You don't require to go out. Yes. That is exactly what happened. After taking over, I'm thinking of improving the economy so that we can eradicate poverty. The three policies, ignorance, poverty, and disease, where they remained on paperwork. But practically there wasn't. And if there was, MZEE Kenyatta gave that even in Maridi. We have a settlement scheme in Maridi. There is Kabaru, there is some other in Nyeri. But that one, in comparison, the people who are given, in comparison with those who didn't have, uncomparable.
There are many. So let me ask you, sir. So does that then is that where the land issues in central Kenya was born from? Because there was land. You were fighting for land within the central Kenya. The Momo were fighting for land within central Kenya, right? Within the Mount Kenya region and all that. They were fighting for land there, which means there was land, right? So what happened to the land that these people owned?
May I also put it to you, sir, that the question of land is it is a very sensitive issue in Kikuyu land. If you want to revoke people's minds, talk about land.
Okay.
I know from the time of independence, and I can give you examples which I don't require to give here. Any leader who talked about giving people land, most of them died in a very merciless manner.
Okay.
You see? Because it is a very sensitive issue in Kikuyu land.
Okay.
Land. Because when we try to think of people being given land and whatever happened in Maumau, I remember people like Biodad Kagia. Was from Murang'a. You might have heard of him. He was among the Kapagoria 6. He talked about land. He lost his parliamentary seat.
Wow.
Good people like JM talked about land. Where are they? Good people like Kongo Karoba talked about where are they?
They're all dead.
Because even if the president was there at the top, those below him did not have that in mind. We became gluttonous.
Okay.
I remember President Julius Nyerere of Tanzania said one time that Kenya is a man-eat-man society.
Okay.
In the East African community. Man-eat-man society.
That's what Nyerere said.
Nobody cares about the welfare of another, regardless as to whether that is your brother, sister, or cousin, provided that you are satisfied with your financial position or your economic position. You don't care about the others. Better let others be beggars. Better let others be working for you, and then you can pay the skeleton payments. You can even help them paying the school fees, but not enabling them to stand for themselves. That is the type of, the most distasteful attitude we have in our society. The president was very good. He had got very good wishes.
Okay.
But implementation, those who are given the ministerial positions, they had a problem.
But the problem is now the president, Jomo Kenyatta, is among the people in this country who have the largest tracts of land. Does that mean that if he had good intentions, then he should have birthed a process of giving back land to Africans? So how can you say that he had the best intentions, yet, even to date, he's been accused of amassing more, much bigger land than other people could enjoy?
The problem we have is two wrongs cannot make right.
Okay.
And according to the Roman law, principle of law, it says, a man, it is better to release the guilty person than punishing an innocent person.
Okay.
If you are doubting the nature of the offense, this person is being charged in a court. If you doubt, you better release him than punishing an innocent person.
Okay.
get the situation. The laws we have here in Kenya are made from the Roman law. Interpreted now to be ours, as related to our law. If Kenyatta has got a farm, and he has got a title to it, regardless of the process he might have followed, and the others, there is no criminology. Isn't it? But the biggest problem, as I would see, is lack of patriotism. Lack of godly orientated thinking. You forgetting that God has given you that position. When you are given the position, you forget that you have been given that position by God.
For the people.
For the people. For his people. They are not your people. It is only the responsibility you are given by God to serve his people. As Peter, Simon Peter was told by Jesus, be feeding those sheep mine. Patie tukodui yangu kitu akula. Akaambia huyo wapatie kitu akula. Wakati alikuwa anaenda juu. It is you are given that responsibility by God. And when you are given by God, you remain questionable or answerable to God in whatever you are doing. When you forget that God has placed you there, you can do anything you want without caring what is going to happen tomorrow. And this is what the majority of people have. They work, they go to the office, like where you are sitting now.
Yes.
You forget that God is the one who has kept you there so that you can help the person who is down there.
Yes.
You can Somerset. If I have a problem, you must Somerset. You come and sit where I am. You are the manager, Somerset. Come and sit here. Listen to my problem. When you are here, then after getting the solution, Somerset, go take your seat. Communicate the decision. You'll be the fairest person.
Wow.
But here, me first, others second. Instead of others first, me second. Two, giving services to one's nation is giving service to God. You give God any service. He can give you goats. You go and look after those goats. Then you start eating the goat when you are still in the bush. What will happen to him? That's the reason why you hear even families here. When those billionaires die, cases protracted, cases in court over the property. Because the Bible says, whatever property that go to Psalm 128, whatever will come, if you do what God likes, and you behave in the way God likes you to behave, you can live until you see the children of your children. And whatever you get yourself through your threat, you'll be happy when consuming it. That is the Bible.
That is the Bible speaking.
128, Psalm 128.
Psalm 128.
Do you follow that? When you die today, your children will fight over the property because it was not a faithful property. Not faithfully earned.
It was not a just property. It was not
just property. And last time you may end up in seeing no even vehicle, not even a single vehicle in that compound. You see? Because it is a curse. Whatever you acquire in a lawful manner and faithful manner, it either perishes in your eyes, in your life, or when you die, you leave it being you stolen or eaten by people you don't know. That's a biblical quotation. How many people can remember biblical quotations while in office? No, you can't. There's no time. You're only thinking of accumulating wealth everywhere.
Which disappears after you go.
70 wives. One day passed away. David, with all the wealth, Israel passed away. What about you? There is nothing that is not covered in the book. But then, when you don't want to refer to the Bible, you end up in doing things in your own way. Keep on doing it. It says, when you go to some religion, that power to do things comes from God. But you are responsible for using that power. Possessions come from God. Satan has no power. Satan cannot make you a president. In fact, if you hear that you are going to be a president of a certain community, you will refuse regardless of the salary you are going to be given. Such as people cannot even have chance to elect their president. But God's people have got power to hold peaceful elections because they are God-fearing.
Now, two things as we wind up on that. One is, how do we then reverse the land issues that we have today? Is there a way out? Because it continues to be sensitive.
There must be a good will. There was a commission, Jomo report on that. It has never been made public. Even after using, you have heard of it, Jomo report.
Yes, yes.
After using a lot of government resources, why was it not made public? Because it is touching some people in authority.
Okay.
Let that one be released publicly. Then after releasing, we see what the accommodations were. Are they workable?
Okay.
If they are workable, what can we do? Maybe, as you are saying, maybe somebody has got 50,000 acres or 10,000 acres. He is not using the land.
Yeah.
The government can get money and compensate that person. If you have 10,000 acres, you can get 10,000 people to have each 1 acre.
Yes.
And 1 acre is a big land.
Yeah.
Why can't the government buy that land and compensate? Go to Russia, 1855. Russia in 1855 had got the same problem as we are having now.
Okay.
Only 10% of the population of Russia controlled the economy.
10%.
10%.
Only.
90% were peasants.
Okay.
All the land was owned by people who were called landlords. Landlords, they owned the land. Others did not have even any property. They were workers. As we were having workers during the villages, squatters, and so forth. Alexander II took over. Alexander II was the leader, as we can have a governor or president. By then, they were kingdoms. He said, I quote, if Russia continues this way, where 10% control the economy and 90% are peasants, there is a likelihood of uncontrollable bloodshed. Because if 90% will vote against the 10%, even my government cannot control such a report. What do we do? We must change the land policy. We must change the economical policies. And what he said, one, his government gave permission to all Russians to the right to own property.
Okay. Every Russian should own
Every Russian to have his property, to own property. That's the time he used the landlords to compensate them. You have 1,000 acres, you are going to be able to 50 acres enough, or 100 acres enough. The other, the government compensated. And it was subdivided in full, the 90%. It is better for the economy to be controlled by 90% and 10% are peasants.
Wow.
That's when a country becomes developed.
Wow. You can repeat that again, sir.
You see?
It is better.
I'm hearing how the land policy was solved in Russia.
It is better for a country to be controlled
by 90%, then let the 10% be peasants. And negligible number. The country will rise up. That even the 10% will have no problem because they will be working and
for the 90%.
Very nicely.
Yes.
By the
90%.
But when you have 10% controlling the economy and 90% are peasants, even though not bloodshed, because people don't like to hear about bloodshed, anything can happen. That's the reason why we have all degrees of criminologies everywhere. Because people have been stressed by hunger, right to the corner that they have no way to go. Then they start developing criminology for their survival. That is the problem, that even you rich people cannot sleep comfortably because you don't know what is. You are likely to wake up and find your vehicle has been taken. Your house has been burned, such a thing. To avoid that, and that is still land.
Yes.
If a country is arable land, let us stick to land issues.
Right. So,
To empower
so what did
people.
Russia do?
Yes, that is what Russians did.
What did they do?
Yes. After Russians were given the right to own property, then the government started helping them financially to develop those pieces of land. Now it is one of the strongest countries, one of the strong countries in
So the
world.
government gave land to the
And they
Russians.
started helping these people to develop those lands.
Okay.
And Russia is in the way it is.
So how did land leave the hands of the 10% and now started being distributed to the
It is historical.
Okay.
The ancient kingdoms. That's the reason why they are called Exada too. Ancient kingdoms. Everywhere in Uganda and everywhere. In Congo, there are kingdoms. In West Africa, there are kingdoms and so forth. That is something came hereditary. So those who were born were peasants because their parents did not have any land. They were not given right to own property by those kingdoms.
Wow.
Until Alexander II disconnected those kingdoms and have an organized system, making Russia to be what it is today.
Okay. So the peasants now had the right to own land, and the government helped them to develop property.
Increased people, I mean the taxpayers.
Okay.
90% came to join in tax paying, adding to the 10%. If you get to 60% being the taxpayers, that percent maybe might have squandered or anything because there can be such shortcomings. 60% from the 10% who are paying the tax. Now you have 70% of the population paying tax.
Wow.
More than half. That country is rich.
Wow.
You cannot come to me and borrow 100 change when you have 1,000 in the pocket. No, you can't. It is better of me to come and borrow from you than you coming to borrow from me. We cannot go and borrow when we have got money in treasury. Because that is misusing public fund. How can you move from Nairobi to Washington to borrow money and you have money in Kenya? It's a waste of time.
Yes.
Energy and resources. Instead of using money fair to go to America, why don't you use money to pay school fees?
For children.
For children.
So when we founded the nation, you mentioned three things that we wanted to get rid of. First of all, one is poverty. Two is ignorance.
Ignorance.
The third one is disease.
Building of hospitals.
Okay.
Hospitals were built.
By the government.
You build hospitals and you keep them. But then, the question is, what is the cause of those diseases?
Okay.
Some of them are coming because of malnutrition. You can build a hospital, you can put medicines, you can have doctors, but people are feeding very poorly.
Okay.
So if you want people to have good health, let them eat nicely.
Wakule vizuri. Now, 50 years post-independence, we're still fighting the same things. We're still fighting poverty. We're still fighting ignorance. We are still fighting disease. What are some of the things that you think the first administration got right, and what are some of the things that you think it got wrong? The first administration.
If you want to change, whoever takes over, and I'm happy, I'm thanking God for that. Because when I listen to the political groupings, the major political groupings in Kenya now, politics is changing. Almost all of them in their manifestos are talking about the economic recovery. Yeah? We are going to help the poor people, those who are unable to pay school fees. We are going to pay school fees from nursery school to university. That is quite okay. Others are saying we are going to do the tax of fertilizers and so forth. It is trying to help these people. But one thing, there is a difference between saying and doing. The practicability of what you are saying, mind you, people are becoming ignorant. They are not ignorant now. Ignorance in Kenya has already been eradicated. In fact, now they are eradicating the disease because of having very advanced hospitals and doctors. But poverty still remains because nobody tries to talk on practical basis about the small person. Those people who pay taxes in Kenya, if not of the companies, in fact, this country could have collapsed. Could have been collapsed. Now, most of our people are consumers of taxes. I go to the hospital, I cannot buy even a tablet, and I'm given. Sometimes I'm operated. I have no coin to give The government pays. I'm even unable to pay the 500 shillings for National Hospital Insurance Fund. What can we do to those people to be self-reliant domestically? Let us go back to them. I'll give you an example how we can go to those people. In 1945, 1939 to 1945, or you go to, 1945, there was the Second World War between the British and the Germans. Americans, who we take to be the firstborn of Britain, because it was given independence on 4th of July 1776. Like when we declared their day, like when we declared Madaraka Day here, and George Washington was the first president. Now, F.D. Roosevelt found the American joint in 1942, and the war had started in 1939. By 1945, because of their forces, economically and physically, militarily, British won the war. The war came to an end. But Americans overspent their resources more than expected, because they never wanted the British to be defeated. Because British, for Americans, for the Britain to be defeated is like looking at your father. To be defeated, he is fighting with somebody else. Would you like your father to be kicked down? Because America is like the firstborn of
Britain.
Because their independence was recognized
Earlier
by the British government. They fought in the way Kenya has fought for 7 years. From 1775 up to 1783, when we got to their constitution. 1783. Constitution from where? Britain. You see? So it is the firstborn. They found that now we have already overspent. What do we do? Banks have been closed. Public statutory boards closed. And very many people declared unemployed. They are not paying taxes. They are not even able to feed themselves. What did he do? Very many people becoming jobless. Now, he laid down the New Deal plans. To do New Deal plans, that is economic recovery. The little finances he had, he started financing the companies, like what the Honorable Kebaki had started to do. Reviving KCC, reviving Jomo Sugar Factory, and the others. That is the New Deal plan, adopted by Roosevelt in America in 1945. So that after reviving the companies, helping them financially, they re-employed the people who had been dismissed. They started becoming taxpayers.
They started building from the bottom.
They started building from the bottom. It has reduced the unemployment. It has reduced people relying to the government on their domestic needs. Let them be self-reliant. And after buying food and clothing and others for their family, they will be able, now they have got taxable property, which we can tax. And which I will recover something I'll give to the treasury. That's what he did. Companies revived. People assisted economically to come up. America has, and he said again, we shall never go to any other world war again. Up to this time, have you ever heard of any world war?
It's just scare.
Because he started forming what was called like League of Nations. To bring people together so that they can have a disputing desk or panel which can solve disputes between countries of member states so that they don't go to war. That's the reason why they have never been in that world war. If a country have got a conflict, let them sit down for member countries. America's policy is on even today that America is able to give you people to work for you and they pay. Like me, I agree because I was taught by the American Peace Corps. I do have been paid by the American government. I'm getting 3/4 of the pay. So that is what we can actually do. Economic recovery, let us start from the
Okay.
We help those people. And let us agree on facts. How many people in Kenya cannot feed their families tonight?
Okay.
How many people in Kenya cannot afford to pay school fees for their children? How many people in Kenya cannot have indecent houses, cannot get drinking water, cannot get food because they have got the land? What is their problem? Instead of giving him cash, supposing assist him, maybe by irrigation water, maybe by some, so that he can grow food he can eat. You get it? That is now coming to eradication of poverty, because the word poverty, or the word poverty, is still there. The vocabulary of poverty, which was there in 1963, is the one which is there today. The spelling of the word poverty during the Kenyatta time, it is still the same spelling today. Today is when?
Today is 16 June,
16th June is the same poverty. The conditions that people were during that time, we still have conditions. Some people in the same condition. That's the reason why you are hearing the media saying people are going to be hungry, moderately in weight, and what they need to be assisted with the food. The same problem that a shortage of food in 1963 is the same today. What have we been doing for almost 60 years? Me first, others second. Let us change that policy. We know we are answerable to God when those children die of hunger. We know we are answerable to God when people die of diseases, because maybe somebody has fallen into the problem of cancer. He cannot pay for his treatment. He dies of it. When we are in a nation is able to train doctors to treat them, we are answerable. Let us be guided by goodness at least. Let us be mindful of others' welfare. Be your brother's keeper. Okay. But you cannot be your brother's keeper. You have eaten your ugali and meat. In fact, you are dreaming very nicely and your brother has not eaten anything. What type of a keeper are you? What are you keeping? You are keeping him. You are keeping watching him until he dies. Then you go to bury him. So that in the story it will be, he was born with so and so. He is a brother to so and so. And he died of hunger. Be your brother's keeper by looking at, having a lot of interest in his welfare. That the welfare of him and his family. Because if you help him to educate his children, maybe those children will still come and help their parents. And even you, maybe you'll not be in that position. You get it? Brother's keeper. Then my main message to the Kenyans is to be patriotic to the nation. And to be mindful of others' welfare. And to know Kenya will not do anything. It will only give you a grave. You go to the grave. You leave your children. You leave your family. But in what type of a country? Surrounded by poor people. Surrounded by people who have no hope of tomorrow. Let us create the hope of tomorrow. Roosevelt created hope of tomorrow of America today. Go to Russia. I have told you. Go to India, you get Mahatma Gandhi. The one who led India to independence, I'm telling you, 1947. We remember Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes. Yes.
If Kenyatta had led a good policy, and he was not able to implement it fully because of the political situation, at that time, there were a lot of very many political giants. Not like now. Why can't we come to that one today? It is never too late to rectify a mistake. And in 5 years, Kenya would be very different.
Wow, in 5 years. So let me ask you, now
that's what we are talking about when we are talking of those more people like in Russia and America. That is what the bottom up is. And I would say that is bottom up. Jomo Kenyatta wanted the bottom up to reach up the standard of living of these people. That is bottom up. He did not start with those who are being called commissioners. Provincial commissioners, so those bosses. He was coming to, but implementation. It's a problem. Look at Moi. Moi started this one to reach the poor. He gave us at Katarako in India and so forth. He could not have again go far because those surrounding him were gluttonous.
Yes.
Selfish people. Go to Kibaki when he tried even to finance the cooperatives. A lot of cooperative movements started coming up, credit society. CDF introduced and so forth. But it can't go far.
No.
Before those circles collapsed. So that's the reason why it is very important that the new policy, whether it comes from any political group, to think as to how they can promote these moral people. Let them be taxpayers. Let them not be like parasites. You can call them economic parasites. They just waited to be given. They wait for politicians like now there is a lot of campaign. Whether he can be given 200 shillings. What is 200 shillings? Not even now for a packet of flour. What about it tomorrow? Let us have people who are self-reliant. And we minimize giving people things on sympathetic grounds. We become, there was a time people are saying that Kenya is 80% of population in Kenya are God-fearing. Which percentage of Kenya is God-fearing now? By action. You may find it is less than 40%. Everywhere. And why are we having all these political squabbles? It's because people are not campaigning for the nation to move from that degree of poverty. It is only possessions of responsibility. The problem is, how many years are you to live with that possession of responsibility? Do something that can make the future generation to survive more comfortably, make Kenya better than you found it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you, it's been years now.
Yes.
Several years that we've done, 50 years.
Yes.
50 years post-independence. You've lived through all these seasons. And I'm pretty sure you've picked some of the lessons along the way on what maybe the country can do to recover. You mentioned about thinking about the people now, like going back to the basics, going back to the people and building up the economy from the people who are sitting down there and trying to bring them up so that they can be part of building the nation. Now, what are some of the fundamental mistakes that you think we've made as a nation since independence?
Fundamental?
Mistakes.
The fundamental mistakes is everything on paperwork, but implementation. Implementation of the policies is the problem. That is the biggest. Kenya is an agricultural country, isn't it?
Yes.
I said during our time we used to get COVID money. Somebody could only be given a letter from the factory or society, take to the teacher in a secondary school. A child cannot be expelled from school. Because money will be sent by the check will be sent to the society. The problem that we have today, no principal can accept a letter from a society that the child can remain in school until money is released. Why? Because you do not know how much you will be paid, and you even do not know when it will be paid. Why can't the government take seriousness in streamlining, for example, coffee industry, so that it can come to where it was in some 70s, where you could go and get a loan from the bank, and the coffee guarantees that. Where you could get money from the bank, you got to pay school fees. And the problem, I have told you that I worked in the coffee industry.
I'm even saying you have a workmate here.
Yeah, I have worked in coffee industry.
Someone called Miriam Wagura. You work together at Thiriku.
Miriam Wagura?
Asa mulikuwa kazi na yeye Thiriku.
Thiriku, Wagura. Mogaidia Wagura, so I like Thiriku. I worked as a manager in coffee factory. In fact, I attended several courses at Coffee Research Foundation. I have a number of certificates from Coffee Research. From the managerial, I said I became a management committee member. There is no secret in the coffee industry. I can't tell you. I've made those marketing.
You know everything.
Yes. Now, let us say, for example, like if you were paying 130 shillings this year per kilo.
Okay. 130 shillings.
130.
Okay.
Even though we give 20 shillings to a factory for maintenance. Farmers collected one. Today, if I take 5 kilos to 3 factory, I count 130 times 5. That's how much? 6?
That is 600, yes.
650.
Yes.
Yes, I did a lot of arithmetic.
No, you know a lot of mathematics.
General arithmetic. Secondary school arithmetic. Many books. Now, 650. At 6 kilos, you carry the paper bag. And 650. Supposing I get 100 kilos, 1,000 kilos. I have more than 100,000. That is bottom up. If a person like me can have 100,000 shillings, and I have never dreamt of getting 100,000 shillings. Why can't I help my son like that to pay rent for a month or two?
If you're making money from the village,
If I'm
with a
making
little
money 100,000, and here they are paying 10,000 shillings for a month, why don't go to the M-Pesa and send them to 20,000 shillings? I greet the family, I tell them I have paid rent for 2 months. How would he feel?
Feel great.
To feel that the parents are very comfortable at home, if they can give her 20,000.
Yes.
That means they are comfortable. You will also be comfortable where he is. You get it?
Yes.
Coffee industry, let it be looked at. That, especially in the Mount Kenya region, let it be streamlined.
Okay.
I ask you now, because I paid 130. And last year, but when you are getting 60, 50, where is this person selling coffee? That is able to pay 130. Which means it can even reach to 200 shillings per kilo. That is bottom up. And that will make me to pay taxes. Because if I'm being paid 130, supposing the government says you should pay 10% of your income to the government, even if it is county government. I'm paying 130, I have left about 10. If I give them 10, I'll be left with 100. Will I have feel the pinch? Per kilo, I pay the county government 10 shillings. And they'll be left with 100 shillings. There is no pinch. That is what we are going to, how we are going to promote the economy of our counties and the economy of our government. So that we can be self-reliant. If all factories are paid that way, in fact, there would be a lot of money circulating. And people will refrain from going to commercial banks tomorrow. Go to tea industry. I've been in tea industry. From the week I went to tea, I visited tea factory. I became a member of the managing of the committees. At Mutito Tea Buying Center, G37, where I was the chairman for the committee for about 6 years. I have gone to Kisii, to all tea growing areas, study tours there. The same problem is appearing in tea industry. You still like now you don't know how much bonus you are going to be paid. Why don't we have minimum payment rates?
Minimum guarantee.
And that would promote and motivate farmers. Today, 3 people are buying manure from Kenya. Brought by lorries. Because of 100 daddy, that somebody who has neglected his coffee. He is borrowing money to buy manure. Collecting belly when he's picking it, balls, he picks it. Because he doesn't want you to lose that 100 shillings. They are telling each other, I don't lose 100 shillings. That is the common slogan in coffee. Yeah? Take the limit is 1 kilo, take it. 100 shillings is not small money. That is language. Which shows that people are coming up. They are being motivated. If we have 500,000 kilos now, there is a possibility of getting 1 million kilos. Now take 1 million kilos, paid by 100. How much money goes to that factory?
That's a lot of money.
And it is there.
Yeah.
Why don't you clear the way?
All right.
You, the government, clear the way. There is no need of rhetoric stories. Come to be practical at the ground. Empower people by motivation. Go to tea industry. That does not require a lot of what I would call rigmarole stories. Rigmarole, they're still moving around, but materially, there's nothing.
The power is the people.
Yes, go to the people where the problem is, understand it.
Okay.
If you tell me about it, I will tell you. If you ask me about milk, I will tell you. Now, just down here in the town, I've taken a cup of tea with my son here. A cup of tea, I was asking you, it's 50 shillings. And me, when I take a liter of milk, I'm paid that 9 or less than 40 shillings.
Wow.
And a cup of tea is 50 shillings.
Milk which has been diluted with water.
And milk without any single drop of water.
That's natural.
I cannot even get 50. I'm getting 40.
A whole liter, not 1 cup. 1 liter.
How many cups can you make from?
1 liter.
1 liter.
Okay.
Why are you exploiting the producer? The producer there. That is all. I will tell you one thing again in the coffee industry. I was told by one Ugandan professor from Makerere University here at Luidu. He told us that 1 cup of coffee, a cup of coffee, where you use 5 grams, in Britain, it costs 250 shillings. Okay. A cup. Here, a cup is costing 50 here. There, it is 250. Then calculate that one. And see. And when it costs 250, take 1 kilo. It will give him about 50,000 shillings. Calculate and see. How much?
I want to give you a water break. I think that's a lot of wisdom.
You see? You can see how much it is.
Yes.
And then here you come and pay a farmer 40 shillings per kilo. Or 80 shillings per kilo of coffee delivered. What have you done to him?
You have killed him.
Why are we are using what used to be called by European mercantile system. Mercantile system is a state adapted by, after they discovered mercantile system. It's a system adapted by the European countries after explorations and so forth, after partition of Africa. That is around 1885. It is they agreed in the mercantile system. We have now discovered the new lands in Africa. Africa is a very good country. It is a good source of raw material. Let Africa provide raw material, and then we manufacture. Okay. After manufacturing, we take the same back to Africa to sell to them. But don't allow them to manufacture. Don't develop industries to manufacture the raw material. Let them produce the raw material, take it to overseas countries, manufacture, and then
bring it back.
The finished product. That's the reason why they could not allow Kenyans to make a country like that one. That's the reason why Kenya could not have been allowed to make a car. Let us import from Japan, Sweden, Czechoslovakia, and other places. Let us order things from there. And this is where, brother, we want to break the tie. Kenya has raw material, why can't it manufacture? Kenya has enough ground, why can't we have industries where fertilizers can't be made? In fact, if you are going to buy maybe some MZEE or something like that, nutrients in other places, we buy the nutrients, let us make them here, fertilizer made in Kenya, instead of buying from Japan. That is the way. But who would allow, and the brokers cannot allow you to go and have an industry there. Why don't we invite these companies to come and open their business here? We just need to have a very good, conducive climate of business so that we can encourage those people to come here and make fertilizers. Made in Japan, packed in Kenya. Why can't we do that? With all the scientists we have in our universities, we can't even make. So that is what the problem is. Okay. We cannot develop this country, regardless of who takes over, when the majority of our people are peasants and 10% are controlling the economy of the country. I would not mind who takes over, but without that one, not the physical bloodshed. No. People are still growing. Not the physical bloodshed, but there's a problem of scarcity of resources. A hungry person is an ugly
person.
Don't make this person ugly.
Wow. I give you a water break. There's a bottle of water ahead of you. I want to give you a water break as I'm looking at the comments. I mean, this is incredible. I don't know. It's been quite a very intensive session, and the kind of facts that MZEE is spewing here, I've not done it before. I've been hosting people here for the longest time. I've been having conversations with people, but I've never had realistic statements that has been made the way MZEE has made them today. And he has asked, if he cannot fetch 39 if he's fetching 39 shillings per liter of milk, undiluted, our liter of milk, and he's paying 50 shillings to buy tea in town, 1 cup of tea that has been diluted with water. It's even worse here, mkubwa. MZEE, hapa mahali tuko sahi, chai ni 180 ama 200 hata. Ukienda hapa kidogo kunywa kahawa ama chai ni shilingi 180, 180 to 200 shillings. It's even worse. So why do we have an economy clearly that has been controlled by 10%?
It is a man-eat-man society. That is where the government should come in to break the chain.
To break the bias.
Yes, let them be patriotic. Go and help the helpless farmer there. Me, I have to milk my cow. If I don't milk it gets into another diseases, as tigers and the others. So instead of milking and pouring the milk on the floor, or giving dogs or whatnot, I better give him whenever he is going to pay me that shilling.
Wow.
But only depends.
But you're exploited also.
I am being exploited. But I am like a toothless dog that cannot bite, regardless of the high volume of barking. If you know a toothless dog, you don't require to be threatened.
However loud you are.
It doesn't matter how barking it is. Let it keep on barking, and you keep on doing whatever you are doing because it is toothless.
Wow.
If it comes to opening the mouth to bite you, you can throw your hand in and take the tongue. It's able to bark again. Because you know it is toothless.
So
I'm like a toothless dog that will never bite. I can't bite.
So the government is
the government is the one which has got the tooth, the teeth. And it is me who is manuring his teeth by giving him the vote. I'm manuring. I'm putting fertilizer on his teeth to grow. And mine are out. It should come. And I'm happy with them because they have all adopted the bottom-up policy. I'm now
you are an ambassador of bottom-up policy.
Bottom-up policy, because as me is talking of bottom-up, it is only the name. As the person saying. It's a change of name. When you say you are going to give somebody 6,000 shillings, that's a bottom-up. When you say that you are going to dig dams in Kitui, that's a bottom-up. You are getting them from there. But the problem comes in with the person saying, and the trust the public may have on what he is saying.
On the implementation.
And another one is saying the same, bottom-up. The trust you have. You have to make your mind. Who is now going to implement the bottom-up? You get it? And it will save this country.
Wow. Let me read the comments here and just some messages for you. Noni Belemso says, wow, I agree. It is better to have an education than struggle to find a job than to lack education altogether. Education breeds basic discipline. I love the senior gentleman. Ngugi Wamiti tuned in. Asante sana Jeff Muya, Mwangi Kamuri. Rebecca Kimeli, I feel like an history class. This is knowledgeable. Asante. Marion, good to see you. Good morning. Samuel Ndogo, godly oriented thinking. Asante. Just as quiet. Wow, just marvel. Robert Kibet, pure wisdom. Marion Charles, Ndiumi ameitwa Wangui. Kanye, godly wisdom. Glad to listen to him. Marion Charles, come see your namesake. Okay. Peter Njuguna, I can't agree more. Let the economy be controlled by the 90% of the population. Pure wisdom. Wangui Kanye. KJ Koret, give them break ya maji. Sarah Demi Mwas, he should be given a place in the next government. He has a lot of wisdom that is very useful. It seems the Muse is in his element. He can love to share his wisdom. What we cannot keep. The government has been ignorant in fighting poverty. The president is living a lavish life at State House and being missiled by his advisory team. Okay, and Dumia doing good. Ben Dungo, incredible. Davis Kelman, sharp old man. Mom Gary say no more. Charles Squad, make sure you put this in a link. Asante. Francis Irungu, MZEE should replace Wajakoya. It is Nyawira Wisdom. Selena Gomez, what is the topic today? Sir, nazungumzia mambo ya uchumi kwa macho ya ground. You're having a conversation on the economy through the eyes of the people on the ground. And we have one ground man here from Tetu in Nyeri. Miriam Wagura, wow, my workmate at Thiruku Coffee Factory. Congratulations. They've met him say, dispensing wisdom. Bruce Lee is idea. Asante. Margaret Dumia, Baba Shiko. This is great. Okay. Asante. Max Kimeli.
Margaret Wajiko.
Amesema Baba Shiko. Wewe ni Baba Shiko. Amesema you're doing great. Congratulations. Asante. Max Kimeli amesema upewe CS agriculture. Ukiwa waziri wa agriculture. Max, anaitwa Max. Amesema wewe ukiwa waziri wa agriculture. Max Kimeli.
Kimani.
Anasema upewe waziri. Ukiwa waziri. Okay. Jeff Mayo anasema someone tag CS Honorable Peter Munya for agricultural lecture. Jepsir JK. This MZEE is talking with a lot of experience, and for sure everything that he's saying it is practical if government can implement. Okay. Mark ya Mungu, huyu ni msomi with wisdom.
Mark.
Anthony Mikal Njogi, poverty, ignorance, and disease. We're still fighting into date. Walter Onyembo, this MZEE is just sharp. Cyrus Kandase, this old man is full of wisdom and knowledge. Elizabeth Karanja, facts 100%. Asante sana. Mary Wanjiku, Governor Kaiga askiza. This is a must watch. Thank you so much. Dumia Ross, good morning. Maximum, this man, any current agent watching, not these brokers. Itafikia, acha tuone kama itafikia MZEE mwenyewe. We see if these contenders can have it. We'll send them some videos. We see Cyrus Kandiri anaita Ndindi Nyoro. Asante. Honorable Veska Kangogo, mheshimiwa anasema excellent interview from that legend. I salute him. A real patriot, a real economic gem. Every sensible leader should tap into his wisdom. Asante sana mheshimiwa Honorable Veska Kangogo. Noni Belem, so I can't have enough of him. My goodness, he's such a resource. Is such a resource. We have the land, the raw materials. Why can't we have homegrown industries? A hungry person is an angry person. Let the government be practical. It is a government. Enough with the rhetoric. We cannot develop this country when 90% are peasants. We are exploiting the farmers, toothless dogs who can bite. Government is the one with the teeth, which is the voters put fertilizer for them to grow. Yeah, he's awesome. Thank you so much for putting that in context, by the way, Noni Belem. So thank you for putting it in writing. I really you need to utilize that. Mwenda Anthony anasema great wisdom. Asante sana Dumia Ross. Wisdom galo. Bruce Lee said this is too much wisdom. Wanda Bonaya, I like this Baba for his wisdom watching from Saudi Arabia. Asante. Cyrus Kandasi, wow. This is say gold. They say all this gold I can affirm today. Asante. Maura Isaac, I stand with MZEE. It all boils down to trust. Who can you trust with the bottom-up idea? Is it the one pushing to extend the policies of the oppressor or the one who is consulting the oppressee? Okay. You will answer that. Elizabeth Karanja, this is what the school should be teaching. Aya, tafungua shule hapa takol. Mulipe fees. Aya, those are says on YouTube. Samuel Nyongeza, good morning members. Good morning to you. Those are on YouTube. It is better to have 90% of the population have control and have 10% peasants than have 10% peasants. Wanjohi, MZEE Wanjohi, I agree with you 100%. Those are wajinga wa maisha Kenya. Paraphrasing MZEE Wanjohi. Nasema IGB ask MZEE Naftali to briefly comment on this animal called state capture and how it can be eradicated. Do you think we have a state capture? Are we in a state capture? Yeah.
Let us say, let me not use the state capture, but use maybe another language. Good governance. If I talk very clearly about good governance. Now, there is a constitution, a set of rules by which a country is governed. And in a democratic society, those rules are made by the people who are being governed, so that they can accept those they elected to the positions of responsibility. Everything is clear. Kenya is a democratic country. When we talk of state capture, I will come to that one. But the adherence to the constitution matters. Any moment we start working against the constitution, even in the state, when you talk about something which is not in conformity with the constitution accepted by the people you are leading, you are acting ultra-viriously. Ultra-viriously meaning that you are acting, I think it is a French word, vocabulary, you are acting against the constitution, outside the constitution.
And against the people.
Then you are in danger, you are throwing danger to the leadership. Correct? Constitution sets out the categories of governing bodies. And I would say, if you are president, You are the head of the family. As the Bible says, Christ is the head of the church. Kenya family, you are the father. And the father is the head of that family. All children are equal in your eyes. As we are all equal in the eyes of God. God says all people are equal in the eyes of God. We are all equal. Never try to act ultra-viriously. You are the symbol of national unity. Please don't interfere on trivial affairs. Okay? Please be a gentleman to sit and make your own decision in some ways. Please don't allow yourself to be influenced by those who are nearer to you. Because not all people can be nearer to you. But let God be nearer to you when you sleep, when you wake up, when you assume office, when you have your prerogative powers. They are powers of the office, not you as a person. That office. Never you never misuse the prerogatives. Never misuse your individual right. You have got a right to say, you have got a right to speak, right of expression. But check using your right because you are not an ordinary person. You may use your rights according to as a person, but you are not an ordinary person. When you misuse your rights, people will take a state involvement in some exercises. They will challenge the state, not the state, it is you. When you are allowed to be misled, the responsibility of the result of you having been misled will be personally held responsible by you, not your advisors. I'd call an example. Before the first president died, when his health was not very good, there was, by that time, Moi was his deputy, vice president, and minister for Home Affairs. There was a group of leaders who wanted to change the constitution that the vice president, should the presidency be vacated, yeah? The vice president should take over for 90 days and then have the elections. That's according to the old constitution. Now, they wanted to change the constitution and say should not be automatic that the vice president takes over should the president die or leave office. When the issue was taken to the president, he refused. He told them, no, don't change the constitution. Let it remain that way. That group never wanted Moi to take over. So when Kenyatta died, Moi took over for 90 days. He got the elections. They say this is a passing crowd. Let him take over, is a passing crowd, he will leave office. He ruled for 24 years.
Yes.
So what I'm saying, as a head of state, never allow yourself to be maneuvered, to be misled by any person, because God appointed you. Okay? You see, so state machinery, if the state machinery coming to be involved in politics, it's because you have given them a chance. They are your appointees. All civil servants are above politics. But they are not refused to have their own political views, which should not be disclosed publicly. When they come to elections, the president will go and vote. Maybe at his home. I told you, he will go and vote there.
Yes.
Kibaki was going there at Udaya to vote. Because the voters cannot move from Udaya to State House to bring you the voting. The vote. You go there to the polling station. Nobody will ask you where you have cast your vote. That is your democratic right, but don't let it be public. Because Kenyans are going to be misled. When a father becomes misled, the whole family suffers. The consequences of him being misled, you must be very cautious. Talk less, think more. Talk less, plan more. But when you talk more,
and plan
you
less.
have no time to plan. You have no time to seek knowledge from God. Because when who was called Sulaiman, when he was asked by God, what would you like me to give you? He said, just give me knowledge so that I can read these children, your children of wisdom. Give me knowledge. And the Bible says God was happy for Solomon to have chosen to be given knowledge. He was given, and he given other earthly wealth.
Okay.
We see God's guidance. When we move away from God's guidance, we are going to mislead millions and millions of people. But bear in mind that you are answerable to God, to his people. You are answerable to God. We may not do anything to. And I'm not saying that, that is very normal. Because we can't do anything. Okay. May God help you and give you knowledge.
Amen.
So that you don't suffer the consequences of being misled. Because some gluttonous people can mislead you. Okay. Like if you take, for example, now today, it is very open to say, why is it that the president and the deputy cannot work together? Not because there is personality conflict between them both, but there is official conflict. Okay. Can it be that it is misrepresentation of what this one doing and what the other one is doing? You see, that one, I'm giving us a simple example. People can mislead you in your possession. If Kenyatta allowed, maybe Kenya could have gone to chaos after his death. Who could have taken over, if not the vice president? He had that foresightedness. These people will fight over who is going to take over. Should they leave office? Then let the constitution remain to guide them. If he allowed them that one to have made in parliament, because he could have been made in parliament, I don't know who the fight could have been. I don't know who could have taken over. Because we are seeing either the speaker or the secretary to the cabinet. Okay. So let us be guided by God in case of a problem. Be told, but have time to consider when you are asleep.
Okay. All right. There's a phone call.
Let the state do the work. Let the civil servant remain in office with his files. You cannot leave people sitting there. And you are a civil servant, then you go to campaign meetings, and your people are queuing in your office. Okay. That is not in conformity with the code of regulations governing the working of the civil servants. Let the Public Service Commission do its work.
Okay. All right. That is it from MZEE. And Mesema, let every other person do their work. Let the commission do their work. They're saying that the public servants, yes, you have a right and democracy of choosing where you want to be, but it should not be in the public. I don't know how right that is. But anyway, bunga la mwenye pia liko wazi na bado ni 779-800-010. We are 40 minutes past time. I'm giving you 5 minutes or 779-800-010. Bunga la mwenye liko wazi na bado ni 779-800-010. 779-800-010. You can call in and contribute to the conversation this morning. Okay. Nimeona nani hapa? Governor Nam Emir sama governor clear the path. Government clear the path. Okay. Chikuku MZEE, wow, I salute you. Brian Toro anasema kabisa, or Governor Sante, Kevin Cherona, we need one like that, MZEE, in the next government. Sir. Live from Marakwet. Nabodi Sydney, good morning. I think you have a completely twisted version of this conversation. If you pay attention very well, you can listen very well, then you can come out of your cocoon of political bias. Okay. Wamuyu Mukumbu, a very informed gentleman. Asante sana, just as quiet. Lastly, arrange this man to meet with DP. Haya, asante. Max kuona Bru list so spare stipot. Asante sana. Karil Wamaya, asante. Edwin Shikuku, very sober. Margaret Dumia Guso, didn't know you this kind of wisdom. We have been enlightened. Asante sana. Margaret Dumia, kama amesema nyinyi cousins wapi. Okay. Weska Kangogo, as a leadership and government expert, I can now confirm we don't lack good examples in public service management. These are resources to be consulted, quoted as an authority, and documented. Wow. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Weska Kangogo. Shikuku, Deadwood Shikuku, good morning, good to see you. Cyrus Kandamish, Aline Wambui, come and watch. Okay. Max Kimeli wana made up Kemi, Santa Cyrus Kandasi, Thompson Doti, Timothy Chipkwan, Jessica, Asante sana, Susan Wendot, great wisdom, Asante sana. Carol Wamai Mumi, great ideas for our politicians. By the way, maybe at this point now you need to open a college for politicians, a school of politicians. Now, finally, Political Chart says, this is a great MZEE with great mind. I urge the government of bottom up to appoint this Baba Agriculture Minister, Evans Nyakundi from Botswana. You're getting people watching you all the way from Botswana. Now, sir, what do you think is the state of the nation as it is now?
The state of the nation?
Yeah.
The state of the nation is good.
Okay.
People should not lose hope. Because you cannot lose hope on a passing crowd. Okay. We just need to know that from 1963, we have been having elections after every 5 years. Kenya is very fortunate. It has never undergone any stage of a revolution. Any case that has stopped the elections to be held. And even this one is coming. And I'm happy Kenyans remain calm and wait for nights to come. Elect a person of your choice. Okay. The one who knew that according to their manifesto, which looked to be identical, regardless of whoever is bringing that one, the practicability of the promises is the one that people should look at. Whoever can benefit this nation from getting it from the economic predicament, it has been praised by over debts and so forth. High cost of living. Whoever will come and lower the cost of living, whoever will come and lead the economy of our country, making our country economically self-reliant because we can. We have chances, we have got people who can raise the taxes, we have got good soil, we have got good business people and good business atmosphere. It is only that there are some things which are crippling the economy. After over-taxation and so forth. But the government cannot have an alternative. Because if it doesn't overtax people, from where is it going to get money to buy medicine? From where is it going to get money to pay for education? From where will it get money to pay for the loans given by other countries? They must be paid. So over-taxation, in fact, these are inevitable conditions. But let us have it controlled. It is only 2 or 3 months. We have another government. Let us have a government that will promote the economy of this country in 5 years' time. And I'm happy with those who are having written promises or agreements on whatever each country is doing, so that we shall follow them up with what they have read or whatever they are giving us, they are going to do. We raise the economy of the country. And that is not a person in the village. You think you have no party to play. Be patriotic. It doesn't matter the degree of patriotism. Take part in the election. Elect a person of your choice. Pray God that money to get you to have the elections of a person who will get Kenya out of this economic and political predicament. No politician is talking good of the others. Let us live above politics of personalities. Let us not only talk of Ruto and Raila. Let us talk of our nation. Whoever takes over.
We talk about the ideas.
We talk about ideas, not politics or personality. As I saw the other day in the media, people talking about Ruto, this Kigali and Madakawa. Let us not concentrate on those two people. Let us concentrate on changes, economic, political, and social changes in our country for the coming 5 years. Let every Kenyan feel he has got a responsibility to play to regain the economic status we used to have during the Kibaki time. Whoever is grazing, whoever is working on coffee or tea, or even the people cleaning the toilet, let them clean the toilet better. God is on the way coming to get you out of the toilet. Wow. I'll even remove you and take you to the office.
Amen.
You don't got to lose hope. We lose hope to go where? Kenya is our country, and we shall never go anywhere. The volunteer white paper of 1925 from Plato. Kenya is a country of Africa. They are not going anywhere. Don't destroy anything. Don't struggle with the passing crowd. It will pass and leave you standing in Mara, where you are. Thank you very much, and God bless you in having peaceful elections. Let elections come and go. But ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Kenyans, let us remain. It is God's wish and the purpose that we live and serve our nation. Service to one nation is service to God. May God bless you and everybody else who is taking part in the coming elections of 9th August.
As you go home, sir, if you are president today, if you were sworn in as president in September this year, what would you do? Very briefly, what would you do?
What I would do first is to make consultations of the desires of the counties.
Okay.
Because Nyeri County, the problem with Nyeri County are not the same problem with Bungoma.
Okay.
Bungoma has got its different problems. Nyeri has got different. I would prepare the scheme of work.
Okay.
The scheme of work of 5-year development plan touching every county.
Okay.
So that I can be responsible to the governor and his people in that country if my government will not have achieved those objectives from the people. And that would, and then I would have coordinating committee in every county to ensure that whatever the government is going to do in that county is in line with their demands. That is public participation. Two, I would like to work within the limits of the Constitution. I would never like to move out of the Constitution. I know very well that during the time of President Moi, we moved out of the Constitution by declaring Kenya a one-party state. I know people like Matiba Sabat, because of one constitution, one-party system, to bring multi-party system. Let us follow the Constitution. This democracy started in Athens in very many years before being adopted by Britain. Started in Athens. Let people decide on what type of government they are going to have, so that they will accept those who are given the responsibility of running the government. And please, those in power never move out of the Constitution. And if it so happens, it is a precedent. There is a reason, a legitimate reason as to why you are at a particular time, you are acting against the Constitution. You must have a legitimate reason that is going to be understood by Kenyans. Otherwise, stick to the Constitution. Be born with the Constitution, die with the Constitution. Leave it behind. Let the body go. God will bless you even in eternal life.
Wow. Okay. There are some of the things that MZEE would do if you are sworn in today as president. You've heard him. He'd focus on the people, the people, the people, the people. According to him, the people, the people, the people. Economy, take it to the people. Ruling, take it to the people. Let them rule themselves. Democracy, take it to the people. Let them decide. Constitution belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to the presidency. And that's it. MZEE is not mincing his words. And he has said that we must go back to the basics and start building the nation from where we inherited it in 1963. We are doing the basic fights, basic things that we are fighting. 1, ignorance. 2, disease. 3, poverty. And he is saying that the verb poverty is still the same as it was in 1963, as it is today. Hunger, people are still going hungry. There's no food. Disease is still abounding with us, and ignorance, schools. The government has not invested much in education. So, I mean, it says that we're still where we were in 1963. This is speaking to a man who has been through the history of this country. Right? So I think you could never get it to hear it better. You read it from books. He has lived through it. And he has given us the nuggets of wisdom that we need if we want to surmount the challenges that we are having right now, including the debt and all that. And he's asking, why should we go and borrow money outside when we can raise the money within? If you have money in the treasury, then why should you go to Washington to go and borrow money? These days we go to China, though. We don't go to Washington anymore, we go to China.
Agriculture has no principles. When there is no money and you are being pushed to give free medical treatment, where do you go? You go and look for money outside because your pocket has no money. But you are able to have money, to make money in your own home. Why are you living in the vacuum?
When you can make money.
Living in the financial
because
vacuum.
Those nations have made their money.
Able. If you go to China or Russia to borrow money, what did they do to come up? Tell him about 1855 in Russia. They came up out of that one. China, Russia cannot come and borrow here. Go to China, 1917. They had a lot of problems. Now they cannot come. You know, Chow and Lai and Mao Zedong.
Mao Zedong, yes.
They divide the economy.
Yes.
Go to America, to the World Bank. United Nations is in America, isn't it?
Yes.
Headquarters. The World Bank. Why got to borrow money from America? When we used to borrow teachers from America, after 50 years, we are still borrowing money from America. What has America done? And they visit America. They go east to Israel.
To benchmark.
Benchmarking what? Let them go there as what Benjamin Ben-Gurion of Israel did to change the economy of America.
Of Israel.
Benjamin Ben-Gurion. What did he do? Let them ask.
Invest in the people.
Yes, let them ask those in Israel, the history of Israel itself. What did you do to make Israel a fruit-producing country in the world?
A desert that produces food.
In the world. What did you do? And Israel does not have as many rivers as we have in Kenya. When you go there, how do you copy? Because you are not a tourist. Yes. You are spending a lot of money to finance you to go at the accommodation. What do you learn there? There was a time that Kenyans were sending people to Israel for military training. I think it was during the Kenyatta time. Most of the Ben Gidi and the others, they were trained in Israel. That's good. They brought a lot of knowledge here to be the commissioner of police. What do about it now? Minister of Agriculture, do you ever go to Israel? To learn what they do?
Maybe they go that they don't bring, but they don't bring the knowledge back home.
Well, what misses? Finance. And finance is here. If you are missing finance to bring the knowledge, then you cannot take 20 years that Kenya has never got any money. We should stop borrowing. And if you are going to borrow, maybe a quarter of the budget proposal, meeting budget proposal, a quarter on long-term projects. If we are going to borrow from the World Bank or long-term, let us regulate here. Let us borrow on that one. So that if we can repay within 10 years or 20 years, but not borrowing to buy medicine, borrowing to pay school fees. How can you borrow? Let us say, for example, use what you have. You have 500 shillings now, and you have a family of 2 or 3. Then you go and buy a kilogram of meat, 500 shillings. You are taking your wife to put up supper for the children. You don't have flour. You don't have cooking fat. You don't have onions. You don't have anything. You would look very stupid to buy 1 kilogram. Your wife will tell you, instead of buying 1 kilogram, why didn't you buy half, 250, and then one you buy a packet of flour?
Okay.
Or you buy at least a quarter. And then you buy flour, vegetables, cooking fat, and so forth. That is what we are doing. The little resources we have, we can have long-term projects. We can even have a project that will be paid within 20 years, as we have featured on 2030.
All right.
But we meet its needs. Let us be self-reliant financially.
Okay.
So that even when we go to United Nations, we are not going as hungry people. We are not going to be beggars. There was someone in interest, like George Hemingway. He one time said, I don't like borrowing. Because today you borrow, tomorrow you beg.
Wow. Okay.
And I called Julius Caesar said, you cannot borrow John to pay Paul. You have not killed John. Borrow John to pay Paul. You have not killed the debt. You are borrowing John to pay Paul. You still have a
You're sinking deeper.
debt.
Yes.
Don't borrow. Let us stop borrowing.
Okay.
By internally managing our resources, natural resources. Soil is good. It's an agriculture. Rain normally comes. We have a lot of rivers. Let us not live on empty slogans.
Okay.
We need practicability of issues.
Wow.
When we mean bottom up, 5 years, we see the change. If Ruto does not succeed in implementing his bottom up policy, after 5 years, go home.
Aenda nyumbani.
You are still alive. Come.
Jaribu yako.
Come and tell, if you don't do it, go home. There is no way, no excuse, because you have got the experience of what type of a country you are leading. I pray that we leave politics of personalities. Two, I had the other day, when we had a cabinet for 2 years, the cabinet has not met.
Has not,
You had something in the media.
They have not met, yes.
I doubt how the country can be run in 2 years without any cabinet meeting. And you are a shepherd. You leave the sheep to go to the bush alone. Supposing the hyena comes in the bush, would you help them? That's the reason why you can hear a lot of confusions, even with the cabinet ministers. 2 years, it is too long. From where are you running the country? And the country ran from the cabinet office when they discuss the situations.
Sure.
If they had regular cabinet meetings, maybe the chairman of the cabinet, the president, and his deputy could have discussed their differences in the cabinet.
Okay.
And come out
with a
together.
solution.
Nobody would know because there is no press there. But because of lack of cabinet meetings, that's the reason why you find somebody moving in his own way. Minister moving, giving utterances in his own way. That is wrong. If a house is not united, it can't go far.
Cannot stand.
Collective responsibility is very important to the cabinet minister. So whatever you say, you are representing the whole government. That is what I learned when I did how Great Britain is governed. Sense of collective responsibility. The Minister for Natural Resources can answer a question of Minister of Education in absence of the minister because it is a governing policy.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, sir, for coming in. It's been a pleasure having you. I really appreciate your sacrifice and wisdom for coming in this morning.
Thank you very much.
May God bless you, and may God bless you with more life so that you can continue inspiring possibilities and speaking to the hopes of this nation. And I like what you've said, that we cannot give up on our nation. Where are we going? That's it. We cannot give up. We must keep having these conversations and ensure that we can build this country and build the nation in a way that the things that we speak about and let it prosper. We are not giving up on this country. We'll keep pushing. We'll keep voting. We'll keep having these conversations that help edify the fabric of this nation. Bruce Lee, anasema we need another session with this Mzee. Asante. Elizabeth Karanja, are we really ready for this level of thinking? This is a wake-up call. Okay. Gilbert Keki Kosgei, the level of wisdom and inspiration by MZEE Naftali is unmatched. Well done, Gerald Bito. God bless MZEE. Asante. Thank you, Gerald. What a morning. Asante. Max Kimali, thanks to Asla Nation Narrative, many Kenyans have now understood how much their opinion matters. The next government will be dealing with a fear-free society, a society that knows and command their rights. Live long, MZEE Naftali. Thank you, Gerald, for inviting MZEE Naftali. Asante sana. My brain is on edit mode. Right. I'm sure you have a secretary there. Let these ideas be put together. This information, I swear, it can inform the executive order number 1 in 2022. Marion Charles, his wisdom is on another level. God bless him. Asante. Noni Belem so, MZEE Naftali, if I were president, I would do a development plan and scheme of works online with every county unique needs and unique needs and focus on public participation to address people's needs. Democracy started in Athens. Let the people decide. If elected, serve along with the constitution, be born with the constitution, die with the constitution. Why are we still borrowing after 50 years? Benjamin Ben Gurion of Israel, Mao Zedong of China turned their nations around. Israel is even doing agriculture in the desert. We need to stop borrowing. Let's use what we have. The little resources we have, we do long-term projects and be self-reliant financially so that when we go to the UN, we don't look desperate. Today you borrow, tomorrow you beg. We need practicability, not empty slogans. How can a country be run without a cabinet meeting for 2 years? 2 years. Where is the country's shepherd and the chairman of the cabinet? Collective responsibility is very important in cabinet. Hey, this guy is absolutely remarkable. Alfred Bang Baxter, take MZEE to Karen. I wish you could invite him again. Asante Sada, Wambo, Crispus, the MZEE is very vast. Asante. Does Anasema, MZEE is not missing his words, calling it as it is. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you. Ladies and gentlemen, the tacklers that have been joining us this morning. It's always a pleasure to have you every single day. Thank you for making this show your show of choice every single morning and joining us for these conversations. And I still want to encourage every Kenyan outside there that we need to have these very tough conversations that demands us to think and really evaluate the leadership that we are looking at choosing. Without that, without the conversations that we have, without us talking about the issues that matter to us, without us discussing the things that pain us, without us talking the things about the future of this nation and imagining it in the best way possible, then it will be very difficult for us to move it forward. But this work, I will say just wow, we'll not give up on our motherland. We shall not give up. Come August, go make your vote and go home. Piga kura, uende nyumbani. But ensure that you're voting for something. Vote for something that will give this nation a new direction. Until tomorrow on Sharia Wiki, this has been the Tackle, the Diaspora edition. And Paul, I want to still apologize to the diasporans. This show is supposed to be for diasporans, but we've been having a problem kidogo in our settings in ensuring that we can bring them on board. Paul Sana, Chairman, I say you've stuck with us all this time. We really apologize. I want to promise, but by next week, Thursday, we shall have it all running smooth and nice. Until tomorrow, this has been the Tackle, and this is me, Gerald Bitok, and it ends right now. Bye-bye.